Hey guys, my name is Todd. I am a front-end web developer, currently coding in Nashville, Tennessee. Today I wanted to share with you a reusable React component that I've published on NPM. I'm going to show you how to install it and use it in your own React applications. This is my home GitHub page, and as you can see right here, I have a component here. It's called React Loading Skeleton. Now there's a lot of different versions of this already out there. But this is just my own version, and I wanted to show you the documentation, how to install it, and how to use it on your own project. Now, the concept here of React loading skeletons, it's been around a long time. It's just, it's used by a lot of different huge corporations. As you can see here in just a Google image search, it's used by LinkedIn, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Slack. The reason a lot of companies use React loading skeletons, it's a more pleasing loading experience. Adds a little more context than just having a spinner or animated dots. And a lot of companies use a kind of a combination of both. We do that. The current app that I'm working on or have been working on currently is Ministry Git here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in, and I'll show you how we use it in our application. So we have a combination here. So right there we have a logging in with some animated ellipses as you're logging in. And I'll show you certain spots where we actually use loading skeletons. This is the first instance here. It kind of gives the user an idea of the upcoming content. This is a great concept to use when you have pages that are going to have text or articles where you know what the content is going to look like. That's an example. And we also have a more kind of advanced example of a loading skeleton in our search model. So here you can kind of see we actually have the containers built in and animated placeholders there. So let me go ahead and I'll pull up my project here. So it's called React Loading Skeleton, and it's simple animated loading placeholders that automatically adapt to the context of your app. To install it, you just need a React application, and you can just do an npm install, and we'll go over the basic usage, some principles, etc. So what you want to do is you just want to spin up a React application. So I'm going to just use the create React app, which will spin up a boilerplate React application. I'm going to call this React Skeleton Test. So this is going to install all the dependencies, and it's going to give us a kind of a playground where we can run a React application. I'm not going to use the magic of video editing to fast forward. Okay, we are back. The Create React app has installed a boilerplate application. So I'm going to go ahead and change my directory into the new app and open up some files to go over those. So let's see. Get in there, our Visual Studio Code, and I'll see the file structure here. So this is the boilerplate package.json file, and we just have some dependencies here, obviously React, React DOM, and we also have some npm scripts here built in. We have npm start, which that will actually spin up a development environment. We have test to run our test. All we're interested in right now is going to be start. So let me go back over to our README here. And I can see here, all I need is npm install React loading skeleton placeholder. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm actually going to, I'll get that in there. I'm going to save this to our development dependencies as well. So this is going to grab all the bundled, minified, and it's a really small file. It's going to go ahead and append it to our project. So as that's going there, that shouldn't take long. There it is, actually. All right, so you can see the been added here. React loading skeleton placeholders version 2.2 is now in our application. So let's go ahead and put this into our application for use. So this is the boilerplate app.js entry point. And I'm going to go ahead and remove this stuff so that we can just put in our loading components here. So back to our README page. To use it for basic uses, I just need to import it and grab the part that I want to use. Actually, this is a good opportunity. Let's go over the documentation here. So I come down here, I can go into component documentation. Now this is really cool. You can see all the different components that are available. You can see the default prop types, and you can actually see the code of each component that you want to use. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So, for instance, this is a little bone. This is a bone component, so it's going to be using the default props. So it's going to be default 100% width and a default height of 15. This other one is a big bone, which has a height of 25. There are some other components as well. You have a skull. And to put it all together, I have this skeleton component. And it animates, and this is where it starts to look like an actual loading skeleton. So this is a skeleton with some little bones, and I just put in a mount 3. If you go down here, you can see the prop type. So you have a default. The number 1 is going to be animated to true, and if you want to show a skull, this component right here has a skull, and it's set to true, and it has 3 little bones. So that's kind of what we're going to be injecting into our application. So let's go back to our code editor, and let's go ahead and we're going to import it. We're going to let's grab the skeleton component, and we're going to grab it from React loading skeleton placeholders. And so now that we've grabbed the skeleton component, I can just say skeleton. I want to do an amount of 10. Maybe it's like a big box or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I'm going to hop over here to our CSS file. And I'm going to change this up a little bit. I just want a margin of 50 pixels, and I'm going to give it a background color of sky blue. Okay, I'll go back in here. And now I'm going to go, if we go back to the package.json, I'm going to run npm start. It's going to spin up our environment on an Express server, and it's going to open it up in a browser. So there it goes. It's running, compiling, and here in a moment, we'll see it. All right, there we go. There's a skeleton loader. Now we can make some modifications to this. Let's say we want to come back here, and let's say I want a skull. I'm going to set it to true. I'm going to save. It's going to recompile. It's complaining about a logo, which is fine. Get that as we go. So now I have a skull and 10 loading little bones. Let's say I wanted to grab a bone. I could actually pull that from the component as well. And let's say I had a bone here. And let's do a height of 25, which will default to pixels. I'm put a break in here, just for vanity purposes. So when I go back to our browser, there's a default big bone there, all the way across. Now let's go over at like a more real-world use case. So let's go back here to the GitHub README. So this is a more typical use case scenario. Let's say you have your own React component called article, and you're loading up actual data. What you can use here is a ternary operator. You can say this dot props dot title. If that's not there yet, you can render a bone. And if you had like a body component with lots of text, if that's not loaded, you're going to show a default skeleton. So that's about the gist of it there. Couple lines of code, you can install it, and you can drop it right in, and very quickly you can have loading skeleton placeholders in your application. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.